It was always the plan to do everything that I could related to family law at the school.
I came into law school knowing that I was interested, just not knowing exactly how it was going to pan out.
I think it came in with an interest, and I think it's something that is really personal for like a lot of people.
We all had to do what were called Know Your Rights projects in the community. I spoke directly to social work students throughout Virginia about the child welfare system. They were all very, very receptive to my presentation. I was so happy. It gave me a lot of hope for the kind of support that's going to be provided to families in Virginia in the future.
Ellie and I did a joint one. The goal of our presentation was educate these people on how, using substances and being a parent creates a risk for you to be involved in the child welfare system. Another really big part of our presentation that we wanted to go into with it was changing the narrative. We may be the only, actors in the legal system and the child welfare system who actually see these people as people and not as a sum of whatever bad mistakes they have made previously.
I did something on shaken baby syndrome / abusive head trauma. So I was working on a legislative piece, which was discussing like the legislation related to this issue and why it was outdated. Then the other part of what I did was a video, which was, it was mostly targeted towards social workers, but also just anyone who kind of wanted to know more about it.
One of the biggest takeaways I would talk about from the campaign that me and Carly did together, and I think that she hit on it. They felt like we were the first group of people who were coming from a place of help and a place of aid and a place of knowledge to empower them.
That's the whole point of like the holistic defense, is looking at these people as actual people. It's hard to get into a different mindset than one you've lived with all your life, and especially in the legal system, which is, I think, like inherently very conservative.
With my project specifically, a lot of medicine has already completely debunked a lot of what I was talking about. But the legal system is like about 15 years behind the medicine. There was like still a lot of convictions happening under this, and there were still a few doctors who were espousing these outdated views, which like broad evidence had disproven. But it was just kind of an interesting dynamic to be a part of, being such a minority and like a widely accepted view.
I think Victoria's Know Your Rights presentation is so clear about that, is that there is literal medical evidence just proving a lot of our underlying theories. But the reasons that we can continue to use these narratives is because the way that our system is set up is to rely on prior narrative and prior findings that we can point to and say, Judge, this has always been accepted, and what's always been accepted is good. The clinic challenged that idea with the, focus on holistic representation of finding ways legally and otherwise to challenge the underlying assumptions that we have and finding new ways forward. It was one of the best experiences that I've had as a student of law at this point, learning that, sometimes there's room for creativity and changing the way that we think.
I also think it's made a difference of, how I live my life, especially with language that we use about people and what that signaling, what we signal when we use certain words. Like a big one for me that I had never thought about, of just talking about substance use and saying like clean, like a drug test being clean, and what that implies about that person, and that if it's not clean, then it's dirty. Just those types of words and that language that we use, and how it matters.
One thing that all of us learned, I think, was we came into the clinic like really with this child-centered mindset. And I think that one thing that we all learned through the clinic was like shifting to a more parent-focused mindset. One thing the clinic taught me was that like to truly consider the well-being of children, you need to consider the well-being of parents. Things that we learned in the clinic are going to contribute to my advocacy like in every way, just like how the language that you use matters, and like what Ellie said, like challenging precedent and tradition, and kind of framing how you're representing a client around like what inherent assumptions, like Carly said, and like what bias am I bringing into this? And I think that is something that no matter what I end up practicing, it's going to help me be a better advocate.